Nadia sighed wearily. Today every passenger seemed to have a story. First, there was the elderly woman who had packed her belongings and was heading to a nursing home on her own, escaping her son and his family. Then there was a woman with 2 children, fleeing her husband to seek refuge with her mother. I wonder who it will be this time, Nadia wondered. The door opened and a man took his seat. "Good evening. Oh, this is the first time I've had a woman driver," the man said in surprise. "But sorry, don't get me wrong. I'm not some prude. It's just unexpected." Nadia smiled and pulled onto the road. She needed to drive the passenger to the other end of the city, which was great because the fare would be substantial. "May I ask you something?" he said after a few minutes. Nadia sighed. Here we go. He wants to chat. She glanced at him sideways. Well-dressed, clearly has money, holds his head high and looks straight ahead. A confident man. "Go ahead," she said. "How did your husband let such a beautiful woman like you work as a taxi driver?" Nadia cursed under her breath. Here it comes. "In case you've forgotten, no adult has the right to forbid another adult from doing anything." The man laughed. "You know, only after asking did I realize how many times a day you must hear that question. I never thought of myself as trivial, but it turns out I am." Nadia smiled too. "Well, you're wrong today. You're the first." The man raised his eyebrows in surprise, and Nadia laughed. "It's just that before you, I only had women passengers today." Within 5 minutes, they were chatting like old friends. Before getting out, Adam, as the man introduced himself, said, "You know, I would really like to invite you somewhere, to a restaurant, a movie, anywhere. I haven't felt so free in a conversation in a long time, but I understand you're married and I can't insist. That would be wrong. But I'll leave you my card. If you ever feel like having dinner with me or just chatting, please call. I'll be genuinely happy to hear from you, even if it's 3 a.m. And just so you know, I'm not looking for an affair, and I'm not married." He exited the car, and Nadia sighed with a touch of regret. He was handsome and confident. It was a shame the ride ended so quickly. She immediately chided herself for such thoughts, remembering the troubles with her husband. Aaron had always been full of ideas, and perhaps it was this quality that had attracted her, calm and sensible as she was. They got married, and Aaron laid out a plan for their future, which seemed perfect except for one thing. It didn't include children. Nadia timidly asked, "Aaron, what about kids? When will we have children?" Aaron hugged her and replied, "As soon as we get back on our feet. We're still young, there's plenty of time." Nadia believed him. They sold everything they could, took out loans and started their own small business. Initially it was tough, with most of their money going toward debt repayment. Eventually things got easier, and they began to see some savings, modest but respectable. Just as everything seemed to stabilize, and Nadia turned 32, she brought up the topic of children again. Aaron frowned. "Nadia, why now? We haven't even lived for ourselves yet. We've only just gotten back on our feet. Let's enjoy several more years before thinking about kids." "Aaron, I'm already 32. "Nadia, come on, that's not old. You have plenty of time to become a mother." And so she waited again. But recently Aaron began to distance himself, always busy elsewhere. When she asked, he would get angry. Finally, Nadia decided to confront him directly. If he was cheating, she wouldn't tolerate it and would demand a divorce immediately. "How can you think that? I didn't want to worry you, but our business is struggling. The cost of materials has skyrocketed and we're facing huge losses. I'm trying to fix it, but I'm afraid we might not make it. We're out of money." Nadia felt terrible for thinking only of herself, so she resolved to find a job and help her husband. That's how Nadia ended up driving a taxi. She kept very little money for herself, just enough to maintain the car and prepare meals at home. Every time she gave money to her husband, he would kiss her tenderly, thank her, and express his admiration. After such words, Nadia felt she could move mountains. Aaron would disappear for days at work. She did everything to ensure that when he came home, he felt as comfortable as possible and could rest well. Drowned in her own thoughts, Nadia shivered as the next order came in. She wandered for a long time through the winding alleys, having never been in this neighbourhood before. Finally she noticed a very poorly dressed pregnant woman. "Hello," the woman said, taking a seat in the back. "Hello," Nadia said, turning to her. "I'm sorry, but I need to ask first, do you have any money?" The pregnant woman placed several large bills on the seat. Nadia looked at her in surprise. "Are you planning to ride around all night?" The stranger smiled gently and said, "No, we'll go to one place. Wait there for a while and then go home. Whatever is left will be your tip." Nadia scoffed, and the passenger said, "Don't get me wrong. All my gown is for discretion, in case I need to get out so no one recognizes me." "Oh, a real detective story," Nadia smiled. "It's not a detective story, just my foolishness. You see, I knew he was married. I knew, but I didn't care. He was so good to me. He gave me money and gifts, but then, when this happened," she pointed to her stomach, "he suddenly cooled off. I didn't do it on purpose. I think he has another mistress, because I saw them from a distance. He swears there isn't, that he'll divorce his wife, but I think he's lying, not only to his wife, but to me as well. Before me, he changed lovers like gloves, and I somehow thought he would treat me differently. Yes, I know, I am a fool, but I fell in love and couldn't stop it." Nadia shook her head, thinking, another fool who doesn't know what she was hoping for. "Where are we going?" she said aloud. "I don't know the address, but I can show you. We were near his house once. He stopped by for some reason." Nadia turned the car around. "Do you think his wife suspects anything?" "I don't know. I would have figured it out right away, but he says his wife is foolish and in love and doesn't let him away." "And what do you want? To tell her everything?" The pregnant woman shook her head and said, "No, I don't want to. I don't even know why I'm going there. Maybe to see for myself, to look him in the eye. That's all." The passenger fell silent. Nadia also remained quiet. What a triangle! Or perhaps even a polygon. However, she still felt sorry for the foolish young woman. "Turn left here," the passenger said, and Nadia turned. It was getting more clear that they were heading towards her neighbourhood. Interestingly, which of their neighbours had distinguished themselves in such a way? Nadia knew many of them and had good relationships with some. "Turn right here." Nadia held her breath. There were only 5 houses on this street. Could it be Sam? He was their neighbour, and his wife constantly made jealous scenes. Apparently there's no smoke without fire. Oh, Sam. "That house over there." The passenger pointed to Nadia and Aaron's house. "Are you sure you're not mistaken?" Nadia asked in a whisper. "Yes, let's park over there near the bushes." Nadia pulled up. Her hands were shaking and she could barely breathe. "What now?" she asked, not knowing to ask more. "I don't know. Maybe we'll follow him." The woman didn't finish her sentence before the gates opened and Aaron drove out in his car. Nadia didn't need to be told twice. She followed him closely. Aaron paid no attention to them, talking on the phone and smiling. Nadia had never driven with such focus before. The girl beside her was silent, clenching and unclenching her fists. Finally, Aaron's car stopped. As soon as he got out, a strange woman threw her arms around his neck. Nadia gripped the steering wheel tightly. Her passenger jumped out of the car, and Nadia followed. "Stop! Where do you think you're going?" But the young woman rushed to Aaron and slapped him across the face. He grabbed her wrist and shouted angrily, "You're driving me crazy! I've had enough!" The pregnant woman wrenched her hand free and burst into tears. The third woman, Aaron's companion, looked at her with disdain. As Aaron turned to enter the restaurant, he found himself face to face with Nadia. He stepped back and received another slap, this one much harder. Nadia's hand was heavier. However, a real fight didn't ensue because Nadia heard a groan and turned around. Her passenger was slowly collapsing onto the pavement, her eyes rolling back. Nadia caught her and ordered her husband, "What are you standing there for? Call an ambulance!" For 3 hours, Nadia aimlessly drove around the city. Her passenger had been taken to the maternity ward. Nadia left her phone number, feeling responsible for her. Aaron called several times, but Nadia blocked his number. There was no call from the maternity ward. She couldn't work in this state, nor could she go home. Suddenly she felt a card in her pocket and called the man. They sat in the car, drinking coffee. Nadia had refused to go to a restaurant, so Adam bought coffee to go and Nadia drove them to the riverbank. She found herself pouring out her heart to him, telling him everything. He listened without interrupting, only saying at the end, "I would never have believed that a woman like you could be cheated on." Nadia only shrugged, and Aaron continued, "I always dreamed of a family, of children, but—" Nadia looked at him questioningly. "I can't have children, due to a childhood illness. No, don't get me wrong, everything else is fine, and I know that even if a woman says it doesn't matter, she'll eventually want a child, and that would be very painful." 2 years passed. "I don't understand anything." Adam looked grimly at Nadia, who was smiling serenely. "Nadia, why are you silent?" "Adam, what do you want me to say? I've told you everything." Adam sat down, holding his head in his hands. This couldn't be happening. He and Nadia had been married for only a year. He trusted her more than he trusted himself. Nadia would never deceive him, he was sure of it. But how could she be pregnant? Nadia hugged her husband. "Tell me, do you have any doubts?" "About you, no," Adam said. "Then maybe we should just let it go and be happy. Let's see a good doctor tomorrow and find out if this can happen." Adam began to realize that dreams can come true. Of course, miracles are expected in childhood, but perhaps they happen precisely when one deserves them. They sat in the doctor's office, and Adam was visibly nervous. Nadia remained calm, making Adam feel ashamed. "So," the doctor looked at them over his glasses, "where did you have these tests done that led to this conclusion?" Adam explained in detail, and the doctor smiled. "So, you voluntarily wrote yourself off based on some outdated tests from a backwater clinic years ago?" Adam was at a loss, and the doctor continued. "Well, based on our test results, there's no reason you can't become a father several more times." "Adam, are you okay?" Nadia looked at her husband worriedly. He smiled broadly. "Am I okay? I'm fantastic, honey. I love you so much. Doctor, I love you too. I love everyone." Nadia looked at the doctor, who smiled back. "It's all right. He'll be fine soon. Congratulations."